G'day guys, the CrossCore 180 is a great dynamic bodyweight training tool incorporating rotational core engagement and stabilisation. That can also double as a pulley for training functional movement patterns. Included with the CrossCore unit is everything you need to get started. So straight out of the box you'll notice that the CrossCore unit is inside its own carry bag, which just makes it very easy to transport and take around the place. Also too, you've got a DVD which shows you your exercises and workout ideas, and also too you've got your basic training manual which goes over those exercises with a bit more detailed information, and also your setup options that you have with the CrossCore unit. Now, to save any confusion that might be out there, I'm going to go over the different setups that you have with the CrossCore unit, just to show you how versatile the unit is and also how easy it is to set up. So to attach to an overhead position, it's pretty straightforward, and it's great for those chin-up bars, those overhead attachments, or even tree branches. Now what we do is we grab our cam buckle and we throw it up over the top. Just make sure it doesn't twist. Then what you want to do is pull your cam buckle down, and you want to make sure that you thread the webbing through the right side of the cam buckle, because if you don't, just to demonstrate this, if I thread it through the front of the cam buckle and pull it through, as soon as you go to put any weight on it, it'll just pull straight through, and I can actually just pull that straight out. So it's a good little test. So what you want to do is just make sure you thread that webbing through the back of the cam buckle, pull it through to raise the unit up, and then you can just apply a bit of force. If it doesn't go anywhere, then you're pretty set. Now what we do to get rid of this excess webbing is we just roll it back on itself, back up the unit, and it's actually got a Velcro little strap at the top, which you can just tuck that away with. So just rolling it up and then pulling that Velcro across. That way, that webbing is going to be out of the way. It's not going to dangle in your face or annoy you whilst you're doing your workout. A nifty feature with the CrossCore unit is the built-in door anchor. And you probably wonder when you get it out of the box what this strange buckle is up near the top of the cam buckle. Well, that's the actual door anchor built in. So to get this to work, what I do is I thread the cam buckle first, just making sure I'm threading the right side of the cam buckle. Make sure there's no kinks or twists in the webbing either. So what I want to do is I want to pull that all the way through. So then I've got just a small amount of webbing there. Now what I do is I get the door anchor, the buckle, and I set it up so it's at the top. So it's just like that. What I do then is I grab my door, I open my door, and then I put that buckle over the top of the door. Once it's set there, I then pull the door closed, and then it's locked into place. Now one thing to note is you want to set this up on the inside of the door, so the door is basically opening outwards. That way, when the anchor sits over the top of the door, it actually pulls the door into the frame and locks everything in place. If you set it up, if the door opens inside, then what happens is that anchor will sit over the top of the door, and it can actually pull and wedge that door open, and then you run the risk of that actually slipping out. So just make sure you always set it up as if the door's opening out and the door closes in against the frame. That way this thing will remain solid and you won't have an issue with doing your exercises on the door. Your vertical setup is a little bit more fiddly, and this works with uprights, telegraph poles, trees, or even street signs. Now what we do is, to set this up, we grab our webbing, and it becomes, we want to wrap it around the pole. Now you kind of want to go in opposite directions with the webbing. You don't just want to wrap it around the one side, because then it's not really going to hold itself to the upright. Now what we want to do is we want to wrap the top strap, the cam buckle, around, make that nice and tight. Then our other one, we want to go in the opposite direction, and it's best to go under with this. So whereas that one you went kind of over the top, this one you kind of want to go around, and then you want to feed it underneath the unit, because that'll add as like a just support the underside of it, so it doesn't just pull itself down the pole. So we go around a couple of times, just make sure there's no slack, and then all I do is I feed the cam buckle with this excess bit of webbing. I feed it through the cam buckle, This can be the fiddly part because you want to hold everything in place so there's no slack developing in the band. Also too, you don't want any kind of twisting in the webbing whatsoever. Now if I pull that back on itself, it's nice and tight, and then if I pull down, as you can see, that thing is locked in place and it's not going to go anywhere. That's the best way, so just remember you want to go around the top with the cam buckle end and then the opposite direction with the other end underneath the unit, so then when you pull down on it, everything locks in place, and you can do your exercises on a vertical style setup. To shorten the cables without altering the height of the CrossCore unit, it's very straightforward, but there's a little trick to it. What I do is I create a loop with 2 fingers. Then what I do is I stick my fingers inside that single loop, twist it around to create a double loop. So if I was to do that, you'd see the double, and then all I do is I just join that together. So I've got that loop there. What I do there is I grab my carabiner and I put it through that loop, and then I pull it tight against the carabiner. As you can see, that is shortened by handle. After you've done your exercise, or during your exercise, that'll tighten up, so it's not going to slip, it's not going to go anywhere. But it's not like a knot. If you put a knot in it, it's going to tighten up, it's going to be almost impossible to undo. All I do is, to undo that, I open my carabiner and I just slide it off the carabiner. Just super easy, so there's no mucking around. So you can set your CrossCore up as a functional training pulley, either as a high pulley, a low pulley, or a mid pulley. It just depends on what you're going to use with the CrossCore. Now we're going to set up with a kettlebell, but you can use a weight plate, you can use a power band, you can use sandbags, aqua bags, you can pretty much use anything. Now all we do here is we grab a hold of our handle, we detach it from the cable, and then what we do is we feed the handle through the kettlebell handle and then back through on the handle. So as you can see, that's created a solid attachment. All I do is I connect that back onto the carabiner and I'm ready to go. Now you can use this another way, and what we can do is we can actually just grab the carabiner, feed that through the kettlebell, and then lock that back in on itself. So you've got a couple of different ways that you can set this up. As you can see, with the CrossCore 180, setup is pretty much a breeze, just as long as you know the subtleties between those different setups. That being said, you can pretty much set it up and take it anywhere. For more information about the CrossCore 180, don't forget to check out ironedge.com.